Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstones that rule well. And peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. To you, I say Shalom. All right, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the flock of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. All right, this is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. All right. Now I came across a thread on Reddit that said it's basically it's called No Sleep. The forum is called No Sleep. People post so-called scary stories and whatnot. Now most of it is made up on there, but reading this particular thread, I believe this is all accurate, and this is a glimpse of the terrifying power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. I'm gonna read a couple of them from a search and rescue officer. You know, those are the people that they volunteer their time to search and rescue people lost in the woods and whatnot. All right, because America, also known as Babylon, has millions and millions of square miles of wooded areas, right? And people get lost in them all the time. All right, and all type of ritualistic things happen in the woods too, man. All right. I'm gonna get one more scripture and I'm gonna start reading it. The thread. This is Job chapter 18 and verse 14. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. Now Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, those are the kings of terror, man. All right. Any people believe that, prideful people believe that, I should say, that because I heard this at camp recently, probably like 4 weeks ago, that one Jake said he has no fear because the brother asked him, "Oh, what are you afraid of?" And the man said, "I have no fear." All right. Now, when you're dealing with the king of terror, you're gonna find out your fear, man. All right. So this is the thread here, and this goes: I am a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service. I have some stories to tell. I wasn't sure where else to post these stories, so I figured I'd share them here. I've been a search and rescue officer for a few years now, and along the way, I see some things that I think you guys will be interested in. Now, all of these will bug you out, man. But in the world, if I would have read something like this before the truth, I would have been like, this guy's making all of this up. And not understanding the truth and how understanding Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will literally choose your delusions, man, and bring the most terrifying thing you could imagine upon you, man. All right. This is the one I read, and I was like, yeah. Well, all of them are like that, but this one, I'm like, it sounds unbelievable, but I believe it because Yahweh Shai is dreadful, man. He goes, this is one of the stories here. I was teamed up with another search and rescue officer or SAR officer because we'd received reports of bears in the area. We were looking for a guy who hadn't come home from a climbing trip when he was supposed to. And when we ended up having to do some serious climbing to get where we figured he'd be, we found him trapped in a small crevice with a broken leg. It was not pleasant. He had been there for almost 2 days, and his leg was very obviously infected. We were able to get him into a chopper, and I heard from one of the EMTs that the guy was absolutely inconsolable. All right, you couldn't console this man from what he's seen. All right, continuing on, he kept talking about how he'd been doing fine, and when he got to the top, a man had been there. He said the guy had no climbing equipment, and he was wearing a parka and ski pants. All right, these are the images of a parka. So this man just had a coat and some regular ski pants on, no climbing equipment. And remember, he's at the top of a mountain. He'd walked up to the guy, and when the guy turned around, he said he had no face. It was just blank. He freaked out and ended up trying to get off the mountain too fast, which is why he'd fallen. He said he could hear this guy all night climbing down the mountain and letting out these horrible muffled screams. That story bothered the hell out of me. I'm glad I wasn't there to hear it. All right. Now the guy's screams was muffled because he had no face. And if you remember the movie The Matrix, where the agent captures Neo in the beginning, when he first captures him and says, and he puts that device in the chip basically, puts the device in his stomach, right? The agent basically says, "What are you gonna do with no mouth?" And this is what he did. He basically took away his mouth while he was in the Matrix. So when Neo was like this, he was letting out muffled screams too. All right. So imagine a guy's whole face like this, just blank, letting out muffled screams, climbing down a mountain while your leg is broken and you're just sitting there, helpless, man. That's terrifying, man. That is freaking terrifying. Now, all these are terrifying, to be honest. I'll read one more and I'll get another scripture. All right. This is the king of terror right here, man. One of the scariest things ever had happen to me involved the search for a young woman who had got separated from our hiking group. We were out until late at night because the dogs had picked up her scent. When we found her, she was curled up under a large rotted log. She was missing her shoes and pack, and she was clearly in shock. She didn't have any injuries, and we were able to get her to walk with us back to base ops. Along the way, she kept looking behind us and asking why that big man with black eyes was following us. We couldn't see anyone, so we just rolled it off as some weird symptom of shock. But the closer we got to the base, the more agitated this woman got. She kept asking me to tell him to stop making faces at her. At one point, she stopped and turned around and started yelling into the forest, saying that she wanted him to leave her alone. She wasn't going to go with him, she said, and she wouldn't give us to him. We finally got her to keep moving, but we started hearing these weird noises coming from all around us. It was almost like coughing, but more rhythmic and deeper. It was almost insect-like. I don't really know how else to describe it. When we were within sight of the base ops, the woman turns to me and her eyes are about wide as I can imagine a human could open them. She touches my shoulder and says, "He says to tell you to speed up. He doesn't like looking at the scar on your neck." I have a very small scar on the base of my neck, but it's mostly hidden under my collar. I have no idea how this woman saw it. Right after she says it, I hear that weird coughing right in my ear. And I just about jumped out of my skin. I hustled her to ops, trying not to show how freaked out I was. But I have to say I was really happy when we left the area that night. Now, me personally, if something like that happened to me, first and foremost, you gotta pray to Yahweh Bashim Yahshai to get these demons off of you, man. Well, me personally, I'll never go back into that forest again. But you know, Esau Edom is the man of the field, man. I personally believe, I can't prove it, right? I personally believe that most of these people are Edomites that we're reading about, man. Because they're climbing mountains. That's one sport Edomite is good at, man. Because not only the man of the field, but they're so-called cave dwellers, man. Caucasian, man. All right? They that dwell in the cliffs. All right? But this is Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 4. I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them. Because when I called, none did answer. When I spake, they did not hear. But they did evil before my eyes and chose that in which I delighted not. All right? That's talk about Jake right there. But Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is also the king of terror over Esau too, man. He'll choose their delusions too, man. He'll put the wicked spirits upon them too, and have them murder their whole family, things of that nature, right? Esau Edom is the whipping stick of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, all right. But they also will face the judgment of him as well, all right. I'm gonna get one more, and I'm gonna wrap it up. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 3, starting at verse. I'll start at verse 23. You know what? I'll start at verse 23. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Heliodorus was I believe, a treasurer for a wicked king who was sent to Jerusalem to basically steal money because they heard about how much riches were in there from a wicked Jake that told them. Let me scroll up. Verse 3, But verse 4, Salakia. But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city. And when he could not overcome Onias, he got to Apollonius, the son of Thrasius, who was then governor of Cilicia and Phoenice, and told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money, so that the multitude of their riches, which did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices, was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring all into the king's hand. So this wicked Jake tried to get a foreign king to rob the temple. So he said, Helodorius. All right. Verse 7. Let's jump down to verse 7. Now when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Helodorius, his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the aforesaid money. All right. So Helodorius brought some people to Jerusalem to basically rob the temple. All right. So when he says, nevertheless, Helodorius executed that which was decreed, which was the decree of the wicked king to go get the money from the temple. So now verse 24. Now as he was there present himself with his guard about the treasury, the Lord of spirits and the prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all that was presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of the Most High and fainted and were sore afraid. All right. He caused a great apparition to appear, man. And this is what the apparition looked like. For there appeared unto them a horse with a terrible rider upon him, and adorned with a very fair covering, and he ran fiercely, and smote at Heliodorus with his forefeet, and it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold. All right. This man in all gold just appeared with a horse, man, and basically kicked Heliodorus. All right. And this happened because the people started praying for protection of the temples. They started praying, and their prayers got answered by this appearance of this apparition, man. Verse 26. Moreover, two other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side, and scourged him continually, and gave him many sore stripes. So not only was the horse and the rider was there, but there's two other men, all right, and whooped his ass, man. Scourged him continually and gave him many sore stripes. And Heliodorus fell suddenly unto the ground and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up and put him into a litter. They basically threw him into a car. Salakia. Thus him that lately came with a great train and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons, and manifestly they acknowledged the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. They seen the power firsthand, man. All the weapons and the great train of people he came with couldn't stop these three people, man. All right, because they were terrible and they're appearing, man. The Most High could put something in front of your eyes so dreadful, man, that you wouldn't know what to do. Shit, he could send an angel, right? And an angel could appear in his true form, and you'll fall to the ground. You'll faint, man. You'll die of a heart attack. That's how dreadful these images he could place in your head or make appear that only you can see, man. All right. For he, verse 29, for he by the hand of the Most High. Salakia, I lost my train of thought because I got interrupted, man. You know, every time I try to bring out the scriptures, Satan comes and tries to, stop the edification. So I'm gonna reread verse 27 and see where I fell off at, and see if I kept back up. Second Ezra chapter 3 verse 27. And Heliodorus fell suddenly into the ground and was compassed. No, Salakia, I was at 26. But yeah, Khan. So yeah. So these Salakia. So these two men came with the apparition that appeared on the horse and whooped Heliodorus' ass, man, and scourged him continually and gave him many sore stripes. Verse 27. And Heliodorus fell suddenly unto the ground and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up and put him into a litter. Thus him that lately came with a great train and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons, and he manifestly acknowledged the power of the Most High. All right. No, there's no weapon form that can harm you, Jake. All right. So if you see these enemies coming in like a flood, trying to take your wealth and riches, this is what happened with in the time of the Maccabees. All right. To rob you, but this will also happen again. The enemy's gonna come in like a flood to persecute the men that fear the Lord. All right. When this happens, you can't depend on your weapons, man. You cry out to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and not only may He give you spiritual powers in that moment, in that day, but He might send a literal angel, not a literal, but a angel physically to protect you, man. Not only would that happen in Jacob's trouble, but that could happen right now, man. All right, it's happened before. All right, I heard of accounts of brothers being delivered by angels, man. I seen one video of a camp. I forgot what city they were in. When the angels dropped by food to brothers, man. All right, and nobody seen the angel, even though it was recording live. You know, nobody seen somebody drop off food or nothing, man. All right, but this is the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. And this is just a small fraction of his power, all right? This is not the power. This is a small fraction of his power, man. Salaki, Yasharala, man. Satan's really trying to stop this word, man. But hey, can't let him, man. You can never let Satan win, man. Through the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right? 2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 28. Thus him that came late, Salakim. Thus him that lately came with a great train and with all his guard into the said treasury. Now, a great train is a great squad of people. Not only did he come with a great group of people, but he also came with a guard into the said treasury. They carried out being unable to help himself with his weapons, and manifestly they acknowledged the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. Right then and there, they acknowledged the power, man. For he by the hand of the Most High was cast down and lay speechless without all hope of life, man. It's like we read in that in the story from the search and rescue officer, that how the man who seen the faceless man was inconsolable, man. Now every time he sees that scar on his leg from the affection and from where it broken at, he's gonna remember that the faceless man he's seen, right? And what's gonna happen? He's gonna tell a multitude of people, and nobody's gonna believe him, man. They're gonna think he went crazy, right? But that's what happened. That's what happened when you deal with the king of terror, man. And lay speechless without all hope of life, man. All the hope was sucked out of him from what he seen and the ass whooping he got, man. But he tried to run up in the temple and take the money out. Who do you think he was dealing with, man? He was dealing with the king of terror. Let me go back to Job chapter 18, verse 14. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle. He lost all hope of life, man. His confidence was rooted out. And it shall bring him to the king of terrors, man. All right. Verse 30. But they praised the Lord that had miraculously honored his own place, for the temple, which a little afore was full of fear and trouble, when the Almighty Lord appeared, was filled with joy and gladness. Now the people seen a great train of people and the guards, and they knew what time it was. So you read about the women going to the streets wearing sackcloth. You read about the priest, how his face changed, but you also read how they cried out to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and when it says which a little afore was full of fear and trouble, I mean a couple minutes ago they were full of fear and trouble. When the Almighty Lord appeared, was filled with joy and gladness. Then verse 31. Then straightway certain of Heliodorus friends prayed Onias that he would call upon the Most High to grant him his life, who lay ready to give up the ghost. All right. Also, when it says and lay speechless without all hope of life, I mean he was ready to die, man. What he's seen too much, man. The ass whooping he got and what he's and from who he got it from, it was too much for him to continue on with life, man. Verse 32. So the high priest, suspecting lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man. All right. So the high priest was like, they're gonna think we just straight up killed him. All right. They're gonna think we did something wrong. Us Jews, right? They're gonna think we did something wrong. So let me sacrifice to Yahweh Shem Yahushai in order to save this man's life, so the man himself could say what happened to him. All right, verse 33. Now, as the high priest was making an atonement, the same young men in the same clothing appeared and stood beside Heliodorus, the same two men that appeared with the horse, with the terrible rider, right? Saying, "Give Onias the high priest great thanks, insomuch as for his sake the Lord hath granted thee life." He said, "Yo, you better thank this man, because he saved your life, man." And see, verse 34, and seeing that thou hast been scourged from heaven, declare unto all men the mighty power of the Most High. And when they had spoken these words, they appeared no more. Wow. See how terrible that is, man? You got these two men that came with another man on a horse, and the horse kicked you, and these two men whipped your ass, right? They were described as an apparition. They came out of nowhere, right? But the ass whooping was real, all right? These two men came and whoop your ass, and then after that, these two men say, "Yo, give the high priest thanks, because for his sacrifice and his atonement, it saved your life," and he disappeared, man. You will never be the same again. I don't care what you do, who you are, what therapy you take, what drugs you take to try to forget the pain. You will never forget something like that again, man. All right, but I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakadash. All right, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of rule well, and peace aside teach to the elect of Israel. Until next time, Shalom and Abad Babal. Baba Kasha, Baba Kasha, Baba Kasha.